Hello and welcome to another Tunisian crochet tutorial. Today I'm going to show you what techniques and stitches I used for my mannequin shawl. This is part of the series on the Tunisian crochet patterns that I publish. So again, as previously, I'm not going to show you how to crochet exactly every single row, but I'll give you the basic tips, techniques and stitches, so you will be able to then follow the pattern which will be published on my blog very easily. Okay, so for this shawl I used yarn cakes. So I used one yarn cake which was which ranged from a red color all the way to purple, through yellow, green, blue and purple. And then I used a yarn cake in contrasting color, which was in white, to create this beautiful houndstooth pattern. So what is different about this shawl is that I used a special colorwork technique for the first time. This is different to the colorwork techniques that I used previously in my patterns, and this creates a very neat wrong side of the project, or the reverse of the project, and it gives you option to adjust as to how long you want your floats to be. Okay, so this is the reverse side, and as you can see, the floats are not long at all, and if I wanted to, I could have made them even shorter than they are. Okay, so the yarn cakes I used were from Crochet UK shop, which is UK based shop. I will link the shop and the website in the description below, and I recommend this shop. It's got beautiful yarn cakes in all sorts of colors, and you are even able to design your own yarn cake if you can't find something on the website that you like. Okay, so the yarn type that I used, this is a mix of cotton and acrylic, 50-50, and it is fingering weight yarn. Okay, so what I'm going to show you today is the beginning of the shawl and how I do the color work. So let's get right to it. So the project starts, so we will start the project at this tip, and then we will be increasing stitches as we go along to get the width that we need. So we'll start with slip knot, and we chain 3. So I'm going to be using the peach color today, and this would represent the white color on the shawl. So that's why I'm starting with the peach, and then I'm going to bring a silver color, and this would represent the variegated yarn cake. Okay, so we start with chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we will do the standard foundation row used in Tunisian crochet. So we will be working into the back bumps of the chains. From front to back, insert your hook into the back bump, yarn over and pull up a loop, and we will do this once more. Okay, so we have 3 loops on our hook, and then we will do yarn over, pull through 1, also chain 1, this is also known as chain 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a standard written pass. So we will start increasing. So the increase I used throughout the whole project is working into the front vertical bar. I use this increase because it is almost invisible. It doesn't create a gap that you get with other types of increase. So it really fit into the type of aesthetic that I wanted for the shawl. So what we are going to do is we are going to knit stitch into the first stitch. So the first loop that is on the hook, it's the last loop from the written pass. So this is count as a stitch 1. So this would be the next stitch. We will do Tunisian knit stitch into this. So Tunisian knit stitch is inserting the hook from front to back between your front and back vertical bar. So we insert the hook between these two, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now we will do our increase. So we locate the front horizontal bar, which is here, and we insert the hook under the front horizontal bar from front to back, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we increased one stitch, and now we will work end stitch. End stitch is worked under 2 strands of yarn of the last stitch, and this is to create a nice neat edge of the project. So the easiest way to go about it is to turn your project facing you, and then you insert the hook under both of these strands of yarn. So as you can see, there's 2, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we've got 4 loops on our hook. So the loops correspond to the number of stitches. So we started with 3, we increased 1, now we have 4. We'll work standard return pass of yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to the end. So this was row number 2. Now going on to row number 3, we will work Tunisian knit stitch in next 2 stitches. So that's 1 and 2. Then we increase, so we need to find the front horizontal bar, increase and do the end stitch. Oops, my yarn is splitting a bit. Okay, so as you can see, now we've got 5 loops on our hook. Again, standard return pass, pull through chain 1 and yarn over, pull through 2 to the back. Okay, so that was row number 3. In row number 4, again we start with 2 Tunisian knit stitches into the first 2 stitches like so. Then we will increase, then we'll work Tunisian knit stitch into the next stitch and end stitch. We've got 6 loops on our hook. Work standard return pass. Work the row number 5. Again we start with Tunisian knit stitch in next 2 stitches. We will increase, then Tunisian knit stitch in next 2 stitches and end stitch. Okay, so we've got now 2, 4, 6, 7 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way back. So this was row number 5. Now we are going to on to row number 6. Again 2 Tunisian knit stitches, then increase, then we'll do Tunisian simple stitch into the next stitch. So this is a new stitch, we haven't done this yet. So we insert the hook from right to left under the front vertical bar of the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. And then we will do 2 Tunisian knit stitches and end stitch. Okay, so now we've got 8 loops on our hook, and we will do something different for the return pass of row number 6. So as you can see, at this point the forward pass was in white and the return pass was in my color. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring the second yarn and do the return pass in the other color. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the color on the return pass. First I'm going to wrap the yarn of the color that I'm using over the hook. So I'm going to create an extra loop on the hook and then bring the new color. When I'm changing my colors, I don't tend to use a slip knot. I only do a loop in my hand place it on the hook and work with this. So what we need to do is, so once I have the loop on the hook, I pull it through 2 strands already, because I don't need to do chain 1 because I introduced a 1 extra loop on the hook already. And then I'll continue in a standard return pass with the new color. So yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the end. So this is return pass for row number 6, and it creates this beautiful color effect. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to continue with the silver and change it at the end of forward pass again to peach. So I will follow the stitch pattern as established. So we will do 2 Tunisian knit stitches first, then an increase. Now I've got 2 extra stitches here, or 1 extra stitch to what I had in the previous row, so this will be Tunisian simple stitches, 2 Tunisian knit stitches. So as you might have noticed, in the pattern that I created is I have 2 Tunisian stitches on each side of the project, and that creates a very neat border. Okay, so then I will do my end stitch with the silver, and again, because I'm changing color, I'm going to do exactly the same type of change. So I take the yarn's color that I'm using, I'm going to wrap it around the hook from front to back. This creates an extra loop there. I'll pick up my peach, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, yarn over, pull through 2. So this is row number 7. This is row number 7. And for row number 8, 9, and 10, we will repeat a changing of color on the return pass with working Tunisian simple stitches in between. Okay, so we're going to be working 2 Tunisian knit stitches, then increase, Tunisian simple in next 3. The previous row had Tunisian simple stitch in 2, so this one has got Tunisian simple stitch in 3 because we are increasing, 2 Tunisian knit stitches and end stitch. Okay, again we change the color to the silver. Oops. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm going to continue in the same pattern, 2 Tunisian knits, increase, Tunisian simple in next 4 stitches, two Tunisian knit stitches and end stitch with changing color again. Picking up my peach, yarn over, pull through 2 all the way back. For the next 5 rows we will be working in your color, so you will work 5 rows of 2 Tunisian knit stitches, increase Tunisian simple stitches in between to last 3 stitches, and then 2 Tunisian knit stitches and end stitch. So I'm going to do a couple of those, and then we will start our color work section. knit and stitch. So from row 11 we will not be changing back to the pitch again. That's why we need to do yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So we will work again the standard return pass. This is, we need to pay attention here, because if we were going to do the standard return pass as we did for the rows with changing color, we will be decreasing stitch. Okay, so we don't want to do that. We want to increase stitch on every row. Start our color work. So I'm going to show you on the actual shawl. So we started with the beginning where we started increasing, then we were changing colors on alternating color on the return pass. Then we did a section in the color where we increased the number of Tunisian simple stitches, and now we are going to be getting into the color work on this row. Okay, so following the chart, following this color chart and the stitch chart which are on my blog, we'll start with the first row of the color work. So we first, as every row, we will do 2 Tunisian knit stitches, then increase, and the instructions state that we should do 5 stitches, 5 Tunisian simple stitches in color. Okay, so we will do 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then 3 stitches in our neutral color. So we are going to get the neutral color, which for me is peach. Okay, and we will need to do 3 Tunisian simple stitches in this color, 1, 2 and 3. Then we will pick up the silver again, for me silver, or the color. Then we will do 2 in silver, 1, 2, because I've got last 3 stitches, and the last 3 stitches need to be in the color. So the borders and the end stitches are always in color. Okay, so as you can see, we introduced the color for 3 stitches in this row and standard return pass. So as we get to the color, we also need to do the standard return pass in this color. So when we're changing colors within a row, we always need to lock the strands. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place the silver over the peach, pick up the peach and work the return pass, and as you can see, that locked the silver under that strand. So we'll do 2 more, 1, 2, and we change color again where we go back to the silver. So what happens here, we've got a strands through this section where we carry the silver over the 3 stitches in peach. Okay, so the way we do this color work is we don't worry about the loose floats of the color. Like here we have the silver over 3 stitches on the forward and return pass. We don't worry about this on that particular row, because we will be dealing with it on the consecutive row, and this is what I'm going to show you now, how we go about this now. So we follow the pattern again. We do 2 Tunisian knit stitches, increase, and because we've got an extra row from the row before, we follow the stitch pattern. So we will continue and the color charts, we continue with this color. Then there's 5 Tunisian simple stitches in the same color, and now there are 2 stitches in peach. So again, I place the silver over the peach, pick up the peach, we do 1, and on the second stitch I'm going to be trapping the silver, the floats in the silver from the row below. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to insert the hook into the peach as if for standard Tunisian simple stitch, but I'm also going to go under both of these floats. So altogether I've got 3 strands on my hook. Again, I'm going to show very slowly. I insert the hook as if for Tunisian simple stitch, and I'm also going to place the loose floats on my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. So I worked under those strands, and now for the next stitch I'm going to be changing to silver. So again, I place the color over each other, work in the silver, and this trapped the strands under the peach, as you can see. Okay, so I'm going to work now 2 in silver, then pick up the peach, work 1 in peach, and then go back to silver for the border. Okay. It's 1, 2 Tunisian knit stitches and end stitch. We will then work standard return pass up to the sections where we change color, and we will be again placing the yarn strands over each other and picking the colors for the corresponding stitches as needed. Okay, so I've got 2 in peach, so I need to do 2 sets of yarn over pull through 2 for peach, and then we are going back to silver. Okay, so this was the second row of the color work. In the third row of the color work, we are actually going to be bringing the peach all the way to the beginning, creating a very long strand. So now we will be starting the third row of the color work. So again, work the border and increase, and now we need to bring the peach all the way to the beginning, creating one long float. So when we do that, we need to make sure that we don't pull the yarn too tight, otherwise this section of the project is going to pucker, and also we don't want it too loose to create a float that we can't even trap. Okay, so just tension the yarn gently to make sure that we can still stretch it a little bit for blocking, and it's not going to create too much tension in this section to distort the overall stitch pattern. Okay, so 1 in peach, and then pick up the silver again over it, work 5 stitches in silver, six stitches actually, sorry, 6 stitches in silver, then again creating a rather long float because we need to do 1 in peach, 2 in silver, 2 in peach, and our border. Okay, and again return pass with changing colors. silver. And we've got one more change of color, which is for this first stitch here. So, and back to silver. So that was row number 3. For row number 4, again, we are going to work our border. Then one stitch, sorry, the increase, one stitch in peach, and now we are going to do lots of trapping because we've got lots of long floats here. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to do 7 stitches in silver over these long floats. So we start with 2 where we're not going to trap anything, and then we will start on the 3rd one. What I like to do is I like to trap my stitches maybe every 2 to 3 stitches, but I leave usually a longer interval at the beginning of the project. So again, I'm going to go into the stitch as for Tunisian simple stitch, but also working under the strands at the back, those loose floats, yarn over and pull up a loop. So I worked under this, and then the next one I'm going to work only Tunisian simple without trapping, and as you can see, this creates a strands that are wrapped around the floats, and this is how we make the reverse or the wrong side really neat. Okay, so again, so this was 1, 2 stitches worked as normal, and then again working for Tunisian simple and under the loose floats, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then working normal Tunisian simple stitch. And again, you can see how the strands, the floats, are nicely trapped on the wrong side of the project. Okay, so I've got 2 more stitches in silver. Then I'm going to bring the peach for 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then the silver. Okay, and my border of 2 Tunisian knit stitches and edge stitch. Okay, so this is how you work the color work section and how you trap your strands. You will then continue, so this was row number 4, you will then continue through with row number 5 to 11. So the stitch pattern of the houndstooth is worked over 11 stitches and 11 rows, and you will repeat this process 17 more times. So overall the houndstooth stitch pattern is worked 18 times in total, and the last 5 rows is again we will be changing colors the same way on the return pass as we did at the beginning of project, like so. So the last section of the shawl is again changing color on return pass and Tunisian simple stitch bind off. So that's what I'm going to show you. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to finish off with the standard return pass with changing colors for this row. I just demonstrate it. Okay, So I'm at the end of my return pass, and now I will show you how to do Tunisian simple stitch bind off. So we will work into the stitch as if we're going to do Tunisian simple stitch. We yarn over, pull up a loop, but we also pull the loop through the loop which is already on the hook. So we always carry only one loop on the hook. Okay, so work Tunisian simple stitch and pull through the loop through the one which is already on the hook, and we will do this all the way to the end of the row. So I've got a few more stitches to work. And the last stitch we work in the same way as if we're going to work the end stitch. So we will work this under 2 strands, and again pull through the loop which is already in the hook. Then you cut your yarn, pull the end through, and that's how you finish off your project. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I hope you find this tutorial useful. You can find the full pattern together with stitch and colourwork charts on my blog. You can purchase the printable version without ads on my Lovecrafts shop. And again, just to remind you, I will link the shop where I bought the yarn for the actual sample in the description below. If you found this tutorial useful, please share it with your friends, give me a like, thumbs up, subscribe, and leave me a comment what colors you would use for this classic fabric pattern. Again, thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.